Let's do a 30-second countdown. Hi everyone, I'm back. I haven't been streaming for feels like forever. I've probably forgotten exactly what I'm doing, but we'll crack on regardless. So tonight I am joined by my good friend Vukasin Terzic. Hopefully I get your surname right because I'm never sure how to pronounce it. But Vukasin, how are you, sir?
I am great. Thanks for inviting me, Greg. It's fantastic to be here and connect with you after a long time, I would say.
Yeah, I've not seen you for a while. I think it was like the MVP Summit was the last time I saw you. Was that right?
Yeah.
How have you been?
And I was good. And you came to Prague, if I remember, later on. But and I was in Prague for most of the summer, but then I left. And then you arrived like a couple of weeks after.
I didn't know that. I must have timed that wrong.
Yeah.
That's a shame. So you were back home. How was that? Was that good?
Yeah, it's good. I'm back in California now. The problem of me staying in one place now for a long time is because I have a child going to school, so we had to come back by the beginning of September school year. Yeah.
Cool. Right. So Vukasin, for people who don't know who you are, give yourself a little bit of an introduction. Tell everybody who you are and what you do and where you're from and stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm originally from Sarajevo, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, but we did move a lot when I was a kid. We lived in a few different countries around Balkans, and I also lived in England for a while. So let's start with IT, I guess. So my IT journey started, I think it's like 4 years ago now, maybe even longer than that. And over the time, I worked on a few different things, but I evolved and moved into solution architecture. And for the past 8 years, it's almost 8 years, I'm in one company. And my primarily focus, or like during that time, is Microsoft Azure and other like Microsoft technologies and Microsoft infrastructures. As part of my job, I design cloud-based solutions and help customers migrate or resolve their problems and so on. As you know, I'm also a Microsoft MVP for Azure. It's 4 years now. I always look at my MVP award, and I have to count how many years, but let me just show you this quickly. I have 5 instead of 4.
Don't drop it. Don't drop it because you'll break it like I broke my thing.
Well, that's what I'm showing you.
This is one I broke. It's weird that you get 5, but it's only 4.
And now I have 2 of them.
How did you end up with 2?
This one is broken, so they just send me a replacement.
They fall off and just shatter, which I realized. Yeah.
So now every time I look, I count 5, but it's actually been 4 years since I joined.
So next year you get a blue one.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll see. And then, by the way, thanks to you, I got the replacement because I believe you are the one who wrote me on Twitter that I can ask them and get the replacement, and I did, and they did send it.
Yeah, I dropped mine from about that height, and they just went like that, and I was like, oh, panic, because I had dropped them big time, and then somebody just told me like just email them and they'll give you a new one. So that was awesome. Right, so that's all.
Other than other than that, I was also for quite a long time a Microsoft certified trainer, but I'm not anymore. I've not been doing any trainings, and I did not renew my certifications, which is I'm a little bit sad about that, but I'll be working on that again. And outside of technical stuff, I guess I like to live adventurous expedition type of life. I've been traveling for a long time with my family, actually, since my daughter was born. We have been like full-time traveling as digital nomads. So I was working remotely long before COVID. And as I mentioned, we had to settle down, and we settled down now in California, at least for a while. I also like ocean. It always, like, wherever I go, I'd come back to ocean, and I like to do like a lot of water sports, surfing, scuba diving, and stuff like that. And I'm also a father, and I guess
Living the
that's
dream.
it.
You're living the dream. Dude. Every time I see you, I'm jealous because you're like, Vukasin's living the dream, but I'm just not.
Yeah,
Every time I see you, you've got a tan and you look like you're enjoying life.
yeah,
Good.
so it's like follow the sun type of life, right? I
Oh,
always go with
amazing.
where this nice weather. Right here we have I think 32 degrees today, so
I'm not going to tell you what we've got. So we were talking just before you joined. You're potentially coming to Ignite for a day, is that right? Yeah, tell us a lot about that.
Yes, so I missed registration for Microsoft Ignite event, and I also did not like at the time when they were offering us to come and do like hands-on workshops or something like that as an MVP to be part of Ignite. That was the time when I was still not sure if I'll be coming, and I missed the window to register, and then it was fully booked. And I even like wrote to support. They told me, sorry, it's fully booked. You cannot get any tickets.
Yeah.
And but just recently I learned that there is a pre-Ignite day for Microsoft MVPs. And I'm hoping that I will be able to register for I mean, I already registered, but there will be space for me as well. And if that happens, which I hope we'll get confirmation next week, then I'm coming for this just one day to Seattle, because it's close to where I live. I mean, it's just a short flight, and I'll be coming, and I hope to see you there.
That'll be good. That'll be good. I'll get you some food or some lunch or something like that. We'll definitely meet you up. Good. See you. That'll be good.
2 weeks, right? Less than 2 weeks, actually. 10
yeah, it's next. No, not next week. It's the week after. Yeah, 2 weeks time.
Week after. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
My birthday's there, so you can buy me a drink if you're there. I'm not joking. I keep saying that to everybody. Yeah, the thing about Ignite this year was the tickets went really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, like super quick. Everybody I know is like, oh, what? I mean, I got an email at 11 o'clock at night, got out of my bed and went and registered because I was like, these will go fast. So, yeah, I think there's 4,500 people going, but the tickets went really, really quick. Right, let's chat a little bit about Azure. What sort of stuff have you been up to recently with doing Azure? What sort of things have you been doing?
Right. So I was fortunate enough to be involved in some projects now that allow me to learn like a lot of new things, a lot of technologies that I never worked with.
All right.
And you know, for some people they do this every day. That's like maybe sounds easy, but for example, I get to implement Microsoft Sentinel, which is I knew a lot about it from learning for exams and everything, but this was like a big practical experience now.
All right.
I got some very like in-depth implementations of Azure Monitor or VMware on Azure. That was also like quite new for me. Mm-hmm. So that was what I'm like digging deeper into and learning now with my work, and plus all the usual stuff, migrations and designs and landing zones and automation. And I like to do a lot of automation, so I'm trying to write a lot of code, automate things using GitHub or DevOps, and Azure Bicep. And recently, well, not recently, I think that's like for almost a year now, I've been using a lot of artificial intelligence to help me with things. And
nice.
Okay, so when we were together on the MVP Summit, we got this exclusive invite, or it was actually not even private preview. It's some kind of like preview that was not open for anyone. But we got access, or I requested access to get to the Azure OpenAI, and I've been using it almost every day since.
Oh,
so
nice.
That was like in like 6 months now. And what I've been doing there and trying to use it for is to automate all sorts of like different tasks that I use every day. And just to give you some example, for example, creating a documentation. with Azure OpenAI, you can upload your own data. It's safe. It stays within your own tenant. So it's not like you are uploading it to ChatGPT or something like that, which goes public. And I basically uploaded a lot of stuff. And then I was teaching the Copilot and the chat to actually work with this particular set of data and to produce a lot of useful stuff for me. And then I included like graphical, making with images. I was making normal like documents, exports. I was making like even like XML type documentation that then I can use for, it basically saves me a lot of time. I did spend a lot of time on training it and training myself and learning how to do it. But now it's super fast. It really like streamlined a lot of things, especially with the documentation, which is usually like boring for me to go and dig into the, make graphs and stuff. And now I just upload the data, I feed it to the trained assistant, and I get very, very useful and colorful and good-looking documents that they need a very little touch before you can consider them like production. So that's one part. Then I've been translating a lot of code from like different languages. And that's like a new thing that I never used before, right? For example, before I'm, let's say, proficient in PowerShell or Bicep or something like that. Yeah. And if I searched GitHub or Google or Bing, I'm using Bing a lot recently, for a script or template that's doing something, and if that did not exist, then you had to write it, right? And that's what I was doing. But now I've been finding a lot of things in Python that I'm not proficient in Python. I can like read it, but that's it. Yeah. And now with OpenAI, basically it's super easy to feed it Python script and get PowerShell output.
Nice.
This PowerShell doing exactly the same thing. So that's what I was doing a lot. And even like I created, of course, automation. I'm not gonna copy paste and ask it every time to do it. Now I have a set of, let's say, like smaller scripts written. Let's keep PowerShell as an example. So I've written like those like little like scripts for different tasks, and then when you create a function, you have like a couple of things that you can include from other functions. And so now I have all of those things ready, saved in the storage, and then I just upload the file containing, let's say, Python script, and I get out the very, very useful and almost ready working solution that includes all of those smaller pieces that I already had there. Nice. And one big one, and so that's another task that saves a lot of time.
Has that been easy to learn, or has that been difficult?
No, this code, working with the code is not very difficult, and I mean you can even do that in ChatGPT, obviously, but with Azure OpenAI, for me that's a safe place, right? I can upload a bunch of stuff there. Yeah. And let it work with my data, not sharing it outside. And especially as a, I work by, perhaps you are in the same type of company. We provide IT services to many different clients, and so you have to keep things.
Yeah, you can't take the scripts and copy and paste it into ChatGPT.
No. I will never do that. But especially with, as I mentioned, the data and documentation, I would never do that with clients' data. Right?
Yeah, when I worked at Barclays, they used to have to ban all these websites, things like pretty formaters and all that, because people would take clients' information and try and pretty JSON and stuff like that, and they're like, you can't do that. You're pasting customers' data into a website that you don't own. So so that's cool that you're doing that. That's pretty neat.
No, Azure OpenAI is it's a great set of tools. And then I'm also playing with few other things, right? So let me give you an example. It's a great place to integrate it's a great place to integrate a lot of like things together, for me at least. So work, for example, I found a video, let's say this video of two of us talking now, and you can just feed it there in one of those services and get text, like video to text, so you get a transcript. And then you can automatically feed that transcript to like different module and ask it to write a summary or to write a blog post about it or something like that.
Cool.
And then you automatically, you see the video on YouTube and you just feed it there, and 5 minutes later, less than that, 30 seconds later, you get a blog post talking about the same thing that guy was talking in the video.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then you can train it to use your own writing styles and stuff like that, which I'm still working on that. Didn't use that type of text anywhere publicly, but I was playing with that. And then you can, let's say, take that long text and make it shorter, and then ask it to create like video again differently. And then you feed that, and unfortunately that service is not part of the Azure OpenAI, but there are like a bunch of other services which can generate like, person. And you can feed that words. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. Then you use like a text to speech in Azure OpenAI. And in there you can generate in different accents, different voices, again, someone to read that text again. And then you feed that audio file to a different service somewhere else on the internet, and that video file can become like a video of like computer-generated person saying these words. So a lot of
do that to you later.
Yeah. I was playing around with this, and it's really works great. I mean, I had some issues in the beginning. For example, when you wanted to use your own database to upload your own data, that was like very problematic in the beginning, and none of those error codes were documented. I'm talking about, let's say, May this year, April, May, and I couldn't get around it. There was no way for me to resolve it because I had no idea what the error message is saying or what does it mean, and I was even asking itself what's the problem, but even the AI didn't know how to explain, and then those things got resolved, and the only thing I could do is to send feedback to Microsoft, but the things got resolved, and it works much better now.
Cool. Ahmed's got a question for you.
Okay.
How much does this stuff cost? Is this costing you a lot of money? Is it?
Right.
What's the thing that costs the money here? What's the thing that actually burns the money?
Yeah. So it does. It can eat up your credits or your money quite a lot. But I'm doing everything in a small scale. So for me, it's reasonable for sure. And plus, I'm doing all of it in my MVP subscription.
So just for people who don't know, some people who are an MVP get what's the word I'm looking for? They get credits, so you can use that. So it doesn't actually cost you anything until you run out of credits. So
yeah, and for the pricing, it's very difficult to estimate. I don't have numbers to give you, and even if you go like to a pricing calculator. There is one thing you have to understand: what are the tokens?
Because the tokens are what you pay for, really, isn't it?
Yeah. They bill you like per 1,000 tokens, and now those tokens are not like number of letters or something that you write or number of requests, but they are formulated a little bit differently. And I'm not gonna try to explain you that because there are quite a few different ways to calculate, not different ways, but different things that you have to calculate to get the correct number of tokens. But it will be one of the very well described things now in the world of AI as such, because the tokens are used for ChatGPT for everything else. So first you need to learn what are the tokens and how many of those tokens, and then you go and look at those different Azure OpenAI models, and they will tell you usually the price per 1,000 tokens.
All right, good.
And for me, it's still reasonable. It's not like eating up all of my credits, but as I mentioned before, I do use it every day.
Right, okay. One more question I might have got is how much is it text-to-speech? So what service were you using? Were you using cognitive services here, or were you using something else for this?
So there is it's a service as part of the Azure OpenAI. It's called Whisper. And they, I think they're built differently. But I think they're not built per tokens, but per time spent. Again, I'm not looking at those. I'm not looking at individual resources, how much they cost in my environment, because I have it free. I don't have any kind of governance for it, but it's not that super expensive. I think that one article cost me a couple of dollars. They're not like hundreds of dollars or something.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, but imagine doing this in a like a large
project,
larger scale, then that can go up super fast.
Yeah. Cool. What's your favorite thing you've done in it so far? What's the coolest thing you've done?
Favorite thing I've done. Well, I think that my favorite and the one that I spend the most of the time with is that translating the code, because that's something I really use, and also training a couple of different chat bots. And I did a couple of silly ones where it was talking back to you in a rude way or in a funny way. But I did some really useful ones, and they are now being used, even though this is still not a generally available feature. But I have them in production environment for a couple of for a limited amount of people, limited number of people. So I think those chatbots, they work really good.
And have you been using?
One more thing that I would like to mention that was really not super. It is useful, but not in the form that I made it. It's not super useful, but it was really fun to make, and that is self-writing script. So basically, I wrote a script that doesn't know anything, but it has some options, and then the user will select what they want to do, and that script doesn't know how to do those options yet. But once the user clicks and select the option, then the script will go and write that part, test it, do some testing on it, and then do the action that it was needed to do. So
that's very cool. So you should sell that. You could make some money from that.
No, I mean it's just relying on a I want to say simple, because that's far from simple, but it's using GitHub Copilot, so it's not that unique. And I think that's the first thing, right? When you are able to have a robot that writes code for you, then it can write code when you need it. But it did have did have to do a lot of work around, because when you, for example, ask ChatGPT to write your code, it will say, okay, here is your script, right? So you have to remove all of those extra things just to get script, and then ChatGPT cannot execute that script. So within Azure OpenAI, you have option to execute stuff, to work with your other areas of Azure, so you can run it in Azure Automation. But before you can just do it, you cannot trust blindly the robot that it will be correct. So you have to first define it properly. So it includes some self-testing and logging and stuff. So next time you know what's wrong. And then you need to work with all of those data. And then, user has to be a little bit patient, because until it writes, until it tests, it takes some time. But yeah, it's not super useful now in production or anything. But I like the concept, and I think in my free time I will continue playing.
If you think about it, you could almost automate yourself. You can almost automate your job. I mean, this has only been out less than a year, And you're talking
Yeah,
about writing
yeah.
script that it doesn't
No,
know
for
until,
sure.
you know what I mean? This is going to be amazing as we go forward.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time, especially
Yeah.
like with writing documentation and with writing code. I think I now spend more time, and I don't think this is ever going to go back now how it was before, but I now spend more time like describing what code I need, and then after it's generated, I spend time checking it, fixing it, stuff like that. I would never just like copy and pasting in production environment, but it's not that I'm writing from scratch.
So you've turned into you've turned into a prompt engineer without even realizing.
Oh no, yeah, the prompt engineering is going to be super important tool, and that's basically what I'm doing now, right? Writing prompts to get the results, and then over time you learn how to ask it, and I learned how to make it work or give me the results in a way how I like to write it. Because I don't like sometimes it gives you the result, but you look at it and it's not that nice, or it's completely different than the rest of your code. And so I'm working around those things, but yeah, it's giving a lot of useful things.
Yeah, I've been the Festive Tech Calendar went live recently, and I was trying to generate images using DALL-E. And the annoying thing about DALL-E is if you ask it to put like text on an image, it never seems to spell it right. I've been struggling with that, which is a lot of
text. Text is bad.
I tried it like 10 times, and I was trying every single quotes and double quotes, and I'm like, "You're spelling this wrong. Please fix it." And it would change a different word, and I'm like, "Oh." So it's
the text is horrible there, but I managed to do a couple of things with the text. I was generating like diplomas for some achievements, and I had like 50 of them, right? So I'm not going to be downloading template and doing something in Word to automatically populate, or I mean, that's how you would do it normally, right? Or like copy and pasting different names. I just try to do it with PowerShell and DALL-E. And it took me longer and I spent more credits than I should have. That took me a long time to get the right design repeatable. So not every, when you ask him to generate something once, and then you ask exactly the same prompt again, you're going to get different results. Right. And if you just copy and paste previous prompt, you're going to definitely get a different picture.
Yeah.
And so I had to train him to do like the same diploma design every time.
How do you do that? Because is I had like a really nice image, and the text was spelled wrong, and I'm like, fix that image and it would generate a different image, and I'm like, no, fix the previous one, and it was like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Did you
solve that took a lot of time? Yeah, well, partially for the diplomas, yes, but that was like it's not something that is repeatable or anything else. It's something that I did with a lot of instructions specific to that specific thing. And it's not something that you can just take and paste to a different problem. You'll have to rewrite everything again. But the logic is there, and I solved it. But with the text, man, that's the most
so now you've got 50
because it doesn't write text.
You've now got 50 fake diplomas up in your wall. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. So there is the easier way to do that is to try to integrate it with like different things. There are different like services that can generate the images that are better at writing text. But I was just like, hard head trying to do everything within Azure OpenAI, and took a long time. To cost a lot of money. It was not worth it for sure.
Yeah, so that's the other thing people need to realize. There's different services that are good, and some aren't so good at certain things. So DALL-E for me is not very good at generating images with text in it. Yeah, that's one thing I was a bit. The images are nice, but the text is always wrong.
Yeah, text is not even like text. Sometimes it's just like something that resembles the text.
So you've put in a session for the Festive Tech called Azure OpenAI is a game changer for automating common IT tasks. Tell me a little bit about what you've what you automating,
Right.
or have you already said that?
So that's the session that I submitted, and that's basically the things we covered. I think that's gonna be.
Do you show people how you do this in that talk? Are you showing how to go about doing this?
Yeah. It's gonna be a demo. Yeah, it's gonna be demo. Like I'm not gonna have any slides. Just gonna be demo showing, and I still don't have that completely figured out the content because it needs to fit in 1 hour, or I don't know how long are the sessions supposed to be.
You can take as long as you like. It doesn't need to be rounded, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay, but I'll try to fit it in 1 hour, and so I just need to see what can fit in there. But as I mentioned, I think we are gonna cover so what topics? Definitely the code translation.
Yeah, you've got.
And then I want to also show a little bit how that chat within Azure OpenAI can do some actions and how to configure it to do something in your Azure with how to work with your resources, or at least like read things from, I don't know, Azure Monitor or something like that, and then give you some information. I think those two things will be a nice, interesting demo for a session. And then if people liked it more, then we can do like more sessions or something like that.
I was going to ask, are you recording that, or are you going to do it live, or what do you prefer?
I don't know. So
that would be saying, do it live. But I don't want to put you under it. If you don't have time, then that would be good.
No, I would love to do it live, but I don't have a platform for it. So if
you've got this. You can do it with me here.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. Just schedule. Yeah, let's schedule some time during the December, and we can do it. I can do it in this format. I think that would be the best.
We'll do it at night, and you can just use StreamYard, and I'll just show up and I'll ask you stuff, and you just do it, and we'll record it. Yeah, that'd be good. So if anyone's listening or watching that wants to watch how to do this, because I think that's what I'm keen on, that would be amazing. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, let's do that. We'll just do it here. The good thing about StreamYard is I've got a 1080p one, because sometimes if it's 720, you can't really see the words on VS Code and things like that. But we've got that, so that's all right. So yeah, let's do that. If you change your mind, don't worry, you can record it. But if you want to do it live, you're more than welcome.
No, yeah, live is fine for me, because so recording session is usually more difficult.
Yeah.
because then you want to make it like perfect, do editing, cut things. If you're doing it live, it's.
I think so. I think live's more fun because you just go with the flow. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. And,
exactly. And you can also interact with the people, right? If I'm explaining something and it's obvious to me, but maybe it's not obvious. Maybe I'm skipping some steps because I've done it so many times.
Exactly.
And if someone wants to ask a question, I can slow down and I'll.
I've not seen a video yet of anyone walking through doing this, so this is what I would like to see. Okay. Like, especially when it's your own data, that's quite interesting. I think a lot of customers and companies will be interested in doing it on your own data.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to be a big selling point for Azure OpenAI, since basically you get the ChatGPT, and I don't have, unfortunately, ChatGPT 4 enabled in my subscription. That's something that you need to request. Additionally,
I know the person to email. Ping me after this, and I'll get you ChatGPT 4.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a person
because I requested that through like a normal way, but they never replied, and I never got it enabled. So I'm still working with ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo or something like that.
Okay.
And the difference is huge. The difference between 3.5 and 4 is really big in terms of what it can do. So that will be another things to see if I can.
There's a lady in the MVP forums basically saying, if you email me, I'll get you, and she was doing it for everybody. So yeah, I'll dig that out for you. That sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, because I've not really spent any time looking at it. I'd really like to, but I don't really know where to start. And it's just one of those things you're like, yeah, well, I'll do it at some point, but I haven't got around to it. So probably like a walk. Yeah. So
I'm doing it because it saves time for me.
Well, yeah, you're saving time. So. Yeah, I mean, why would you not want to do that? Absolutely. Definitely. What other stuff you've been doing, or is that mainly the stuff you've been doing in Azure of late? Because that sounds really cool, actually. You've been doing anything else?
Hard to say. Like, I'm always doing something within Azure Workspace. But outside of work, it was mostly this that I mentioned. I did like a lot of one-to-one calls. So there is a thing, right? I don't do too many, at least this year, not because of my busy work schedule. I didn't do too many of those like public speaking presentations, but I have like at least once a week. Someone schedules, and I have a link somewhere, I can share that later here. Someone schedules with me one-to-one session. And so those are private, right? And I'm just like trying to help them out with their problems, with their solutions. Sometimes are like simple things, they need help with the script or configurations, but sometimes it's like in-depth troubleshooting of some problem. And I like that because when we interact like this, you go to a conference, online conference, you speak somewhere, you don't feel that connection, and you don't even, you don't expect everyone to come and tell you thank you very much, you changed my life, right? That's not what you are doing, and you cannot expect that. But when you help out someone who has a real problem, and at the end of the call you resolve it, or you help him resolve it, then you feel that like gratitude and that connection, and it's really awesome. And it's very similar to what you are doing here. You get one-to-one, you chat with people. So I do that privately, and we are working on those solutions. And my calendar was open for the last 2 years, I think, like this. And a lot of people reach out, and I don't even know how they find me, because I don't even like promote this. I don't have that link. I have it on my GitHub and a few other places, but I don't.
You've just promoted it without even realizing.
Well, I don't know, and I'm not like weekly posting the link on Twitter or something. It's just people find me, and it's great. It's been great. They reach out. I usually, the calendar is set so they can book a time and when I'm available, and it's great.
Wanted to ask you, the last time I saw you was MVP Summit, I think. Yeah, it was. What did you think of that? What did you think before going? Have you ever been to that before?
No. So I became an MVP during COVID.
Right.
I became an MVP in 2020. I was traveling during COVID. I believe I was in Greece, and I got an email that I became MVP, and that was obviously the year when there was no MVP Summit in person. And since then, this was the first one. Last year's MVP Summit was the first one where you could go in person. And for me, it was a great experience. I always like those in person, like big conferences and things.
Yeah.
And I missed that. And now this was the first, maybe not the first conference. I spoke with a few user groups, but the first conference or of this kind where I was able to go in person. And just because of that, it was great. Also, since I became MVP, I met a lot of people, including you, and I was able now for most of those people for the first time to meet them in person. That was great. Technically, what I was expecting from like those sessions, it was not completely what I expected, because people who were going for years before told me, okay, look, this is going to look different. And then we came there, and it was for like 80% of the time, it was something that if you go to Microsoft Build, basically, it was the same. They were just telling you stuff. But outside of that, I met a lot of people from Microsoft that I've never seen before. I met a lot of friends. And we had a lot of those technical discussions outside of the sessions, right? Where you were able to speak with people and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. So that was great. And then I think last day of Summit and plus the day after, on Friday, I was involved in a couple of sessions where you could like sit with the project team in a small room, and they ask you, okay, so tell me, what are your problems? What are you doing? How can we help make you successful? And that was amazing. I remember like on Friday, we met a PowerShell team, everyone from there. and there was maybe like 20 of us in a room, and they really went one by one. We introduced ourselves. We talked
that's
about
awesome.
problems. We talked about things, what we think, and you could see they're listening. You could see they're there basically to hear what you learned from working in the field, and they're incorporating those things, and that was amazing. That's what I expected for most of the summit, and not just to tell me about new products. And for most of those sessions, they didn't even tell us like the things that you would like to hear, like for example, what's coming up, right? And when it's coming up. No, they just told us, okay, this is the product, and that was a little bit disappointing. But still, I'm 100% not like I'm 100% sure that it was a great thing to go.
Would you go? Would you go next year? Would you keep going back,
Yes.
or do you think it's a one-off? Yeah.
No, especially now since I live like 2 hours from Seattle, so for me it's no brainer. So I'm hoping to go. I already have booked hotel and a flight, so. And they didn't even open the registrations yet, but.
I'm going to stay in your hotel. I'm not going to book it. I'm just going to turn up. So for anyone watching who's thinking about becoming an MVP, or anyone who's listening, I thought the MVP summit was like I didn't know what to expect, but I thought it was amazing. The fact that you can sit in the rooms with the product group and they talk to you and ask you like they know who you are was just unbelievable. I would highly try and coerce people into becoming an MVP. And if you are an MVP and watching and you haven't been, definitely go. Yeah, just even being on summit on the campus was just amazing. I thought driving about the taxis and the buses and all that was just so much fun.
No, for me, like the networking part and being there in person and going into all of those rooms and everything, that was amazing. Even if the summit was not, but I think it was. We definitely learned a lot of things. There was some in-depth sessions. It was great, and for me, especially like first time after like 3 years of virtual one, and then you come there in person. And what I felt a lot is that when we were there in the room, those people listening online, they didn't have the same experience, not even close. And because a lot of those things, like talking with people next to you, but also ask all the questions in person and being able to elaborate on that question and discuss it further, people on the microphone, they didn't have that chance. And also speakers were focusing mostly on people in the room. So the hybrid experience is great if you cannot come, but I think we were fortunate enough that we were able. And for me, it was fully sponsored by my employer. I didn't pay a thing. I didn't pay like an Uber. So that was a great benefit as well. Yeah,
it's a shit to sound amazing. It really was. I didn't really know what to expect, but I was blown away with it. Yeah, that's why I ask everyone, because I was just like, one of my pals from England, Anthony, every day would come up to me and go, I can't believe this is amazing. And I was like, because he had just became an MVP. He had just became an MVP, and he was like, I am absolutely at my depth here. Generally, he was quite nervous about going and meeting all these people that he'd seen before. It was funny. It was just, I loved it. I didn't want it to end.
Yeah, me neither. And we had a lot of fun, right? And all the ice creams and everything. But the thing is that, like, for example, Mark Rusinovic, you know about him for like many years, right? And then all of those other MVPs, you know them for years. You've been reading their blog posts, their videos. They teach you a lot of things. And now you come there and you're sitting in a room with them and you're equal, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially like a lot of people you wanted to ask some questions, you could.
Where's the last place you've been? You say you travel a lot. Where's the last place were you back in Prague? Was that the last place you've been on holiday?
On holiday, thinking. So my traveling was a little bit different. I did not travel, like I did a lot of traveling, obviously, for leisure purposes, but Once you are able to combine working and traveling, then just like traveling to, and this is difficult to explain because it's a different mindset. Traveling somewhere for a week seems short, first of all. That seems like very short. You cannot do anything in a week. After comparing it to staying in the same place for 3 months. And it's not very cheap because you are paying for flight tickets, which are usually most expensive. So if you go somewhere for a week or you go there for 3 months, it's the same cost of the flight ticket, right? And so I was always like, since we were traveling and I was working remotely, spending longer time in destinations, like 1, 2, 3 months, and that's what I was doing. And when you have a child that doesn't go to school, when you don't have to pay rent back home, when you don't have when you have like supporting family and so on, that they're not like pushing you to stay or something like that, then it's easy. But you have to work on those things to make it work. It's not free. It doesn't come without anything. You have to leave a lot of stuff behind. You have to be able to live out of one suitcase for a year or 2 or 3, and so on. And so that's how we were traveling for most of the life since my daughter was born. But now obviously we can't. And to answer now, coming back to your question, we came here back in September, and since then I had a few short trips here around States. I don't know, Las Vegas and a few other places, but nothing big. And for the summer,
is it difficult working while you're doing all these moving? I'd imagine that'd be quite hard.
No. You need to have a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially if you are working across different time zones, which for me it's like normal. I work with Europe and US time zones all the time. But you have to work around your meetings, and sometimes you cannot avoid being up at 1 a.m. and doing a meeting at 1 a.m. because there was no other option. And sometimes, quite frankly, customers especially, you cannot tell them, "Oh, I'm not here, I'm somewhere else." They don't care. It's you have to accommodate their time, and then sometimes you cannot avoid being at 1 a.m. But other than that, obviously now here I have like a nice setup with all the screens, lights, microphones, whatever, which is great. It makes you much more productive. But I also had a very functional setup for traveling with additional monitor and all like the batteries and stuff that you might need if you are working somewhere from a, let's say, coffee shop and there is no plug. So I had like external batteries and stuff. And noise canceling headphones. So I didn't like feel that lack of equipment or something. It's making me less productive. I made that work for me. And then the other thing is that you have to focus, right? If you go, like, I don't know, you've been to Hawaii and now you are in Hawaii and you're stuck in a hotel room and you work, right? That's not something that people can understand. But but for me it's normal. So I do work, and then after work the world is yours. You have a lot of new out of work activities that you can do, especially when you move all the time. Then you have, like, in those new places, new things to explore, new things to do, new things to learn, and so on. And so that was like a reward for me being productive during my work. And now other thing is that when when your customers are here and you are in Europe, you don't necessarily need to work 9 to 5. I actually never work in like specific working hours. Your schedule is like a lot more flexible. So if I have a scuba diving at 10 a.m. and I don't have any meetings, then I would just go and scuba dive and then come back and start working after lunch and then work until evening, right? Or if I know that I have like evening calls, then I'm not going to start working at 7 a.m. when I know that I'm going to finish at 11 p.m. So that those are the things that you have to work around. But for me, how to explain? It's not for everyone, but it made me more productive. And for example, I give you an example of COVID years, right? 2 years of COVID, I spent traveling full time. We didn't go home. And obviously it was much more limiting. You couldn't go anywhere. A lot of places were like not safe to go or not even open to go. We were lucky to find great locations. And I was like, for example, on some islands where there was like 0 COVID cases, no COVID, but it's closed. No one can come in. Right. And so everyone was like stuck at home in Prague, and they were complaining about, not being able to go somewhere because there were rules there, everything is closed, shops are not open, no activities, it's winter, it's cold, short days, everyone was depressed just reading the news. And I compared that to my life at that time, and I was living in heaven. Everything was open. I had long days, 30 degrees. I had on my hotel or not, the house where we lived, they had like a swimming pool on the rooftop. So I was sitting next to the swimming pool and working from my laptop, and everyone was here like complaining. And I said, okay, so
did you feel guilty?
I felt guilty, exactly. I felt guilty because we left everything behind, and now we are here, and now we are happy. But I cannot be happy because I know that people close to me are not happy because of obvious situation around them. And this is like reward. And my work ethics during those days, not just work ethics, but results, were much higher than those people basically stuck at home, not being able to leave. So no distractions. There is no open ocean for them to go, or I don't know, some like diving with sharks. They cannot go do that. So they have to be at home. And nothing was there to distract them. And they were just, they could just work all day. But my work results were much better because I was mentally better.
Yeah, exactly. That says a lot.
And so I did everything I could to make this work for me. And of course, my employer was great. They never questioned. In the beginning, I prove it was, it took a lot of time to prove myself that I can work without someone checking on me, without you go to Hawaii and then you ignore work because you are in Hawaii. I didn't do that. And so a lot of those things had to be forgot the word. You have to like get there. It was not for free. But at the end, it was definitely worth it. And I wish we could continue, but I was not really fan of homeschooling. So, so that's it. But again, for example, during the summer, like the last day of school, we had a ticket, flew back to Europe, and then during the summer, we spent some time in Prague, where it's like my home, with the family, parents, right? We had to do that, but also every single moment we escaped somewhere, right? Good. So I don't know, Italy and Germany and Iceland, volcano, and things like that. We did that as much as we could financially and also like time-wise.
Everyone listening to this is going, damn, I wish I had done that. I wish I chose that.
Yeah, no. And I know people that are doing that for a longer time. I don't know, we did it like 6 years almost. I know people that are doing that for a longer time, where they are like even have kids and they homeschool them. Kids are growing up on the road.
Yeah.
I have just one child, and there was like a big decision to make because even though for my child this was great for her life, she gained much more than she lost with this type of lifestyle. but we needed her to make connection with other kids and not just to grow up with adults.
Yeah. Oh, no,
and school was best way to do that. And since she already spoke English at the time, we made a decision that we'll stay here in California for some time.
Nice. I was in Prague in, I think it was September. Beautiful city, absolutely stunning. Like, I've been 3 times there, and I think that last time I just forgot how beautiful a place it is. It is absolutely stunning. Yeah, I really do like Prague. The food and stuff like that's just brilliant.
Yeah, Prague is a great place to live. It's a very safe, very well developed. Everything functions very nice, and the culture and history is great. The only problem it has, there is no ocean.
Can't find the sharks.
Yeah, no, I need that. And that's my therapy, right? So we are under a lot of stress doing like in IT. I guess like every job is stressful, but sometimes we are really in like a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And I feel that when I'm close to the ocean, I would never in my life need like mental health help, because you just go sit there, listen to waves, and everything is clean.
I'm getting jealous now. I'm going to end this stream. I'm getting too jealous. Sounds brilliant. Sounds brilliant.
Well, when you come here to Seattle, well, it's going to be cold in Seattle in March, but you're coming in 2 weeks time. In 2 weeks time. So maybe you can book a flight and come here to California.
Yeah, get a bit of sun.
Yeah, we can go, and there is like 20 minutes from where I live. There is like a Disneyland and stuff, and then plus a lot of like activities and things to do.
I'll maybe take you out that one day and come over and say hello. Get some sun.
Yeah, sure.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on. Let me just quickly let's go over you're on LinkedIn as that. If you want to catch up with Vukasin, if you want to connect with him. He's also on Twitter here. This is his blog that he was talking about his automation and stuff like that. He's got loads of cool automation articles. I was just looking at his bicep stuff and his automation, so he's got loads of cool stuff on there. We'll get you on any particular day in December that you want to do this live stream. Is there any particular time suits throughout the month?
I'll have to look at my calendar. I don't have preferred date. I do have a couple of days when I'm gonna be away.
Right.
So I'm gonna reach out to you separately.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, we can do anything. Weekends, Monday, Friday, whatever. Just let me know.
We have to plan it before you publish the calendar, right?
Yeah, I'm going to. I need to do that probably this weekend. Problem is, I've got 150 people with wanting different dates, and it's trying to get everybody like lined up. And then you get people going, "Can you move it?" And it's like, "Yeah," but it's like, "Oh, crikey!" Got the world's biggest spreadsheet that I'm getting. A girl called Lisa. She's a data engineer, and she's like, that's her job. So I'm like, she takes all this. She loves doing that stuff, so that's brilliant. Because you get people going, "Can you move it?" And then it all starts to get a bit messy. But yeah, we'll publish that probably. What is this? This is Friday. Probably Monday or Tuesday next week. So we'll try and get that done, because everybody's asking me when am I doing it, and I'm like, yeah, need to plan that. So we'll get on with that.
Okay. I think for our session, that's like can be pretty flexible. So I'm just gonna send you a message with a couple of those dates when I know that I'm not going to be available.
Send me the dates when you're not available. Yeah.
And then I'll let it up to you to plan it whenever you can.
It'd be good if we could do it at the start of the month, because I'll give you a wee tip and everybody a tip here. The ones at the start of the month are the most watched views. So if you get in early, you'll get more views.
Okay.
So it tails off towards the end of the year because it's Christmas. But yeah. Listen, thanks for coming on. Hopefully I'll see you at the MVP pre-day in, I don't know, like 10 days time or something like that. That'd be brilliant. If not,
10 days, yeah.
Yeah, if not, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you probably at the MVP Summit next year. Hopefully, all going well.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on. That was really informative. Looking forward to the demo for the Festive Tech, and have a good weekend. Thanks, everyone.
You too.
End the stream. Thanks for your time, and thanks for watching.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you soon. I don't know when the next stream is. I've not really been doing them too often, but everyone have a nice weekend, and thanks for watching.